Hello everybody. I apologize for the late start today. I ran into some unfortunate technical issues. With those technical issues, certain aspects of the show are going to be a little bit different today. Unfortunately, the live commenting into the video feed is not going to work. So I will do my best to keep an eye on the comments in the respective areas, but it's not going to show up in the feed. And also our phone lines are also, for whatever reason, not working today. Happy Monday. Anyway, so thanks so much everybody for tuning in, and sorry again for the late start. So we are going to be, sorry, I think I've got duplication and sound there. There we go. Okay. Lots of technical issues today, of course. Always the way it goes, right? So, thank you for tuning into Let's Talk About this is a live podcast where we talk about love, intimacy, and relationships. Typically, we accept live comments as well as live callers. But as I just mentioned, that's not going to work out today. So the last 2 weeks, we've actually done some pretty heavy topics. Everything from sexual health to pride. And I mean, pride isn't always a heavy subject, but discrimination is. And so I thought that this week we would focus on something a little bit more fun and talk about ways that we can actually improve our sex life. I'm glad to see that the sound and video are good. That's good. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay. So just quickly, who am I? For those of us who are joining us for the very first time, my name is Tila. I'm a sex educator, relationship expert, and published author. I love talking about sex. I love helping people connect with that part of themselves. For most people, it's such a taboo subject, and it doesn't need to be. I mean, sex is really fun. We should have fun learning about it and talking about it too. So, on to our topic of masturbation. So, masturbation is one of those topics that seems super taboo. Sorry if my eyes are not making good connection with the camera today. Like I said, I want to keep an eye on those comments since they're not going to pop up in my video. But yeah, so masturbation is a topic that's super taboo for a lot of people. And there's a lot of misconceptions and misinformation out there. And when people talk, when people reach out to me to ask questions about masturbation, a lot of common questions sort of come up, and we're going to cover some of those a little bit later. But it's just sort of shows how much misinformation there is out there. So I kind of wanted to start by addressing some of that. Why is it so taboo? Why is there so much misinformation out there? And unfortunately, it has to do with history. So back in, I think it was about the 1600s, they actually used to believe that semen was what made your body run. And it was more precious to your body than blood. Like they thought that everything was run by semen, and how much energy or strength or virility somebody had was in direct proportion to how much semen was in their body. And this was backed by the medical doctors and the medical professions of the time. And they believed that there was all sorts of things. So if someone masturbated, or even in the event of intercourse with the purpose, even with the purpose to achieve a child, that ejaculation or loss of semen was seen as hazardous to your health, which is crazy. They used to blame all sorts of weird illnesses on semen loss. They used to think that it caused blindness, or that it could give you seizure, or promote muscle loss. Some of this was due to they didn't really understand what orgasms were or what role they played in the body. So when somebody orgasmed, if they had muscle tension or changes in muscle tension, sometimes it was thought as like a small seizure, right? And people would report feeling weak or feeling exhausted afterwards. So they saw it as this, as a bad thing. We know that it is not. Masturbation is actually really healthy for you because it's actually a form of exercise. It strengthens the neural connections in your genitals to your brain and all that good stuff. So, let's just dispel a few notions, because one of the common questions I get from people around the world is, well, if I masturbate, won't that make me go blind? And no, that is based on medical science that was debunked like a really long time ago. Basically, medical science from the 1600s, which is not even remotely accurate. We're talking about a time where they used to still think that, drilling holes in people's brains was the way to let ghosts out, and that was their treatment for mental health. So it's definitely outdated medical practice and has no relevance on what we know about masturbation today or sexuality today. So if masturbation is kind of an uncomfortable topic for you, that's okay. You're not alone. Lots of people feel embarrassed talking about it or even listening about it. That's okay. It's an important thing to get more comfortable with, or more important to get comfortable thinking about, because part of seizing your sexual potential is to stop shaming yourself and to acknowledge where you currently stand. So this is an important first step in helping you figure out, where you are and where the next step is. So regardless of how you may have been raised or what you've been told, masturbation is not evil. It's not bad for you. And like I said, I mean, all the ideas of it being bad for you is based on debunked medical science. And so there's lots of good things that happens when you masturbate. Like I said, it's a good form of exercise, gets the blood pumping, endorphins are going. For people who have penises, regular masturbation that ends in ejaculation has actually shown to have a direct link to reducing prostate cancer. So masturbation is really healthy for you. And we can actually use masturbation to improve our sex lives, because it can actually benefit us in 3 different ways. So the first way is when we're masturbating, we're actually exploring and becoming more aware and comfortable with our bodies. So many people, particularly people who have vulvas, have been socialized to think of genitals as this, external part. Like, it's not actually part of them. It's like this weird part of their body that they're not supposed to think about, talk about, touch, look at. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but many people with vulvas are kind of socialized to think about it that way. And lots of people with vulvas have never actually taken the time to, say, take a mirror and look at that part of themselves because they're ashamed. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. Bodies are not shameful. Body parts are not shameful. And there's nothing wrong with masturbation. So it's okay to interact with those parts of our bodies. The view that this idea that many people with vulvas has been socialized with has sort of developed some really unhealthy perceptions that can actually lead people into sexual dysfunction and actually make it harder for them to enjoy their sex lives. So you should understand the different parts of your genitals, whatever they are, and how they work and what they're for and what kind of sensations can be gained from them. Don't think of your genitals as this separate entity. I know some people with penises actually name their penis and refer to it like it's a whole other person. Sometimes that can be humorous, but it sort of divorces that idea that it's not part of your body and that you have no control over what happens, which is not true. You absolutely have control over what happens with it. So part of masturbation is reuniting your brain and reuniting yourself with that part of your body. And the more you can accept that, the more you can not only control your own reactions, but you're also going to develop a good sense of what kind of stimulation you find pleasing and the best ways to unlock your pleasure. So when you masturbate, you're essentially training your body. you're training your body's sexual response. So how you masturbate impacts your sexual performance. So one of the most common things among young men is that they can't last very long in bed. And this is a common question about, how can I increase my sexual stamina? What can I do? And the question they should be asking themselves is, how do they masturbate? So many young men that I've asked that question to, have told me that they usually bring themselves to orgasm in 1 to 3 minutes. And so my follow-up question is, well, how long are you trying to stretch it out? Are you trying to make it happen as fast as possible, or are you actually trying to enjoy the moment and make it last longer? And can anybody guess what the answer is that I usually get? Anybody? I'll just take a look at the comments. I bet you anything you guys would probably guess right. So the most common response is that they try and get over as fast as possible. So congratulations, boys and other people with penises. You have spent all of your energy training yourself to be unable to last a long time in bed. So if you're struggling to keep things going for a partner, that's an important thing to know, because how we choose to masturbate has a direct impact on our sexual performance. Masturbation is kind of like training. Like if you were to go to the gym say you entered a big sports competition and you go to the gym to train for it, and let's say it's a 10-kilometer race that you're going to train for. Would you be able to do that 10-kilometer race if you only train for the 100 meters? I mean, no, you wouldn't. You would not make it, So that's an important thing to think about. Like, you should be masturbating how you wish to engage in sex. How fast you want it to be, how intense you want it to be. Those are the sort of things you should think about when you're masturbating, not just achieving the end result of orgasm, but enjoying the experience and measuring how long, or not necessarily measuring how long, but thinking about how is that going to impact your performance, when you're with someone. So people with vulvas are not immune to this idea either. The average woman or person with vulva can take 20 to 30 minutes of stimulation that they find pleasing in order to be able to reach an orgasm. So that's just how different bodies work. If that sounds like a really long time, guess what's going to help? Masturbation! Yay! Masturbation is practice, So if you feel like you take a long time to reach orgasm and you want to make that faster, masturbation for people with vulvas is actually going to speed up how quickly they can come to an orgasm. Or if you're someone with a vulva who orgasms really easily and fast, masturbation can actually train your body to have multiple orgasms in a row. So that's great, because people with vulvas can do that, and it's awesome. So these are some key things as to like how you can use masturbation to leverage your sexual performance and change what your sexual duration is. It's all about practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect, right? And what kind of fun practice that is, right? So the last major benefit that I wanted to mention was that it sort of goes in line with the body training. So when we masturbate, we're actually strengthening the neural connections between our genitals and our brain. Like other types of activities, our brain has the neural pathways that are exercised when we engage in those activities. You know what they say, use it or lose it? It's kind of like that with sensitivity as well. So if you are masturbating more often, you're strengthening those neural pathways in your brain, which is actually going to strengthen your response to your genitals, because your body's going to be like, oh, we're doing this a lot, so it must be really important, and we're gonna maintain those neural connections. There's something else I was going to say about that. Sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought. Anyway, so So yeah, so when people are talking about, neural connections, everything, just remember this applies to all different areas of our life, including sexuality. So masturbation, another way you can sort of leverage masturbation to improve your sex life is actually by using it as something you do with your partner. So this can be a great tool for couples, particularly couples that don't necessarily know each other very well. And this is what we call like mutual masturbation. You may have heard that term before. If you have not, it basically means that the couple will either masturbate in front of each other simultaneously or take turns masturbating in front of their partner. And great, Pam. I'm glad you're loving the video. Thank you so much for commenting. I love it when people comment. We usually have it pop up in the screen, but hopefully tomorrow I'll get that sorted out. So if you're masturbating in front of your partner, the benefit is basically you're sort of showing your partner how you like to be pleasured and what you find pleasing. So if you struggle to talk about that with your partner, this can be a good way because you can show your partner, this is how I like to be stimulated. And some couples actually find it incredibly sexy as well. And it can be a nice way to break up routine. If you find that your sex life has gotten kind of monotonous or feels like it's gotten a little stale, a mutual masturbation can sort of reinvigorate things because you can explore new things. You can show maybe if your partner hasn't been hitting all those spots that you really love, it's a good way of showing your partner without being like, you're doing this wrong, which, by the way, never say to someone. Never, when you're trying to talk about sex and things you like, try and phrase it more in a positive light. You don't want to be playing the blame game or pointing fingers or anything like that, because that's going to make people not want to try. It's much better to try and frame it a little bit more positively, like, instead of doing this, how about we try something like that. But mutual masturbation is another great way to do that because, like I said, you can show your partner exactly what is feeling good to you and what they can do or what they can try to do to increase that feeling. And like I said, vice versa, you can learn what your partner really likes. So like I said, it's a great way to leverage your sexual relationship with your partner as well as have lots of fun on your own. So masturbation is just really great all around, and I really wish people were not so afraid of it. I feel like I'm talking really fast, so I'm just going to slow down, take a little drink of water here, and check the comments, see how's everybody doing today. Leave it in the chat. I think we'll have some fun with improving our sex life this week. It's going to be good. We're covering some good topics this week. So I mentioned I want to kind of cover some common questions that I get from people about masturbation. So I sort of already covered one, which is the will I go blind? And the answer is no. Are there any negative health benefits? No. The main thing you want to watch out for in terms of potential negative benefits is are you masturbating so often that it is interfering with your life? Are you missing appointments? Are you not hanging out with friends so you can stay home to masturbate? Are your genitals sore from masturbating? Those might be some cues that you might be masturbating too much. And that's the only potential negative benefit, is you do want to go at a pace that is comfortable for your body. Which sort of leads into another common question I get is, how often can I or should I masturbate? Is there like a max number I should hit or not hit? And it's just what's comfortable for your body. Like I said, if you're masturbating so often that your genitals are sore, you probably want to dial it back a little bit. And go with what's comfortable. Now, if you're finding the need to masturbate that frequently or that often that your genitals are sore, but you're still wanting to do it anyway, you might want to check in with a medical doctor about that, because that might fall into disrupting your life or being uncomfortable. Use your own personal gauge. It's going to be really different for every single person. There's no right or wrong. It's sort of what's going to be good for you. But most people find, sore genitals uncomfortable. Who wants that? And also, if it's disrupting your life or making you miss work or appointments and stuff, then that might indicate a bit more of a different or other problem, like an overactive sex drive. So there is no max number that is normal. Everybody's sex drive is different. So a common question I get is, how much, and this usually comes from cisgendered men, they typically ask, well, how much should I masturbate? What's normal and healthy for somebody who's 21 years old or 18 years old or 24 years old? How often should they be masturbating? Am I like a champ for masturbating 10 or 20 times in a day? There is no such thing as a perfect number. It is dictated by your own body and your own sex drive and your own comfort. If you feel the need to masturbate more often, you find that distressing, maybe explore why is it distressing. Like I said a little earlier, is it disrupting your life, or is it because you find it distressing, you feel like masturbation is bad? It's good to sort of explore what's causing those feelings of discomfort, because that's going to be your biggest cues as to how you can resolve that discomfort. Another common question that I get is, of course I start to talk and then, sorry, I'm a little jumbled today because of the tech issues. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta be late. And I hate being late. It is like my least favorite thing. Anyway, so common questions. There is one more. Oh yes, it was on the tip of my brain. So another common question that I get about masturbation is that people, and once again, this usually comes from younger men, and there's a concern that they can't seem to feel like they can control their sex drive, but they don't want to masturbate all the time. So like other forms of exercise, masturbation can help burn off energy, but that also means that if you feel that your sex drive is too high and you want to burn off that energy in some other way other than masturbating, I would recommend, trying out other types of physical activity, because that's going to burn off some of that energy. And also, what sort of diet you maintain can make a big difference on sex drive. That's going to vary a little bit depending on somebody's genetics and their ethnic background and so on and so forth, because all those factors play into how their body processes food, because we all do that differently. But so what sort of foods you eat can impact level of sex drive as well. So if you're a, let's say, 18 to 22 cisgendered male who is finding that their sex drive is excessively high, try working out a little bit more to burn off some of that energy, and try and stay away from certain types of foods, like anything super sugary, anything like quite like that, because that may be bumping up your sex drive a little bit. However, on the flip side, for other types of people, sugary foods and stuff may actually decrease their sex drive. It all depends on the status of your health and your personal health situation, which varies from person to person. But diet does have an impact on sex drive and can impact your desire to have sex or masturbate. I'm just going to check and see if there's any questions that people have in the chat. So if you have a question about masturbation, I'm sorry to say you can't call in today, but you can leave it in the chat. This is a really good episode to share, mostly because a lot of people don't like talking about masturbation and they're afraid to ask. So share this one, share some love, some self-love, some promoting of self-love. so that other people can learn about these things too, because lots of people want to learn, but they're afraid to ask because of that stigma. Any questions? No? Okay. Well, I think I did talk a little fast today because I burned through that pretty quickly. So this week we're doing all topics on how to improve your sex life. So it's going to be lots of fun stuff. Tomorrow we're actually going to be talking about improving your sexual satisfaction. So we're going to spend a whole bunch of time on different strategies you can do to improve your sexual satisfaction with your partner or by yourself. So please tune in tomorrow for that. Please share and like and follow and subscribe and all those good things, and get the word out and help other people learn about sex and awesomeness that they should know. If you're looking for more, I have so much stuff on my website, exploresextalk.com. There's plenty of articles on there about improving your sex life and answering health questions and all of the whole 9 yards. If you're looking for a little bit extra, I do have my Sexy Hero Society, which is a paid membership. It's $20 a month, and it gives you access to a whole bunch of extra content like sex positions and relationship challenges and coloring pages and cartoons and games and craziness and awesomeness. And the proceeds all go towards furthering sex ed and helping other people enjoy their life. So remember, an important thought about improving your sex life is taking the time to learn about it. Okay, we practice all kinds of other skills. We need to practice our intimacy skills, our communication skills, our relationship skills, and these are going to be the keys to having the best sex of your life. Okay? Do you want to be someone who is a supporting role in your love life, or do you want to be the star character of your love life? Okay? So the answer is totally up to you. And, I encourage everybody to check out the free resources. There's lots of great sex educators out there, aside from myself as well, of course. And, learn more, share it, talk about it, implement it in your life. Okay? Thank you so much for everybody who tuned in today. I hope to see you all tomorrow. No tech issues, hopefully. And we'll hopefully get back to the live comments and the callers. I hope you guys have a great night, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Take care.